nobody knows what they're doing, because in order to have a successful relationship today, men have to be trained on how to help a woman come back to her female side. Women have to be trained on how to use a man and help to bring her back to her female side. And in addition, she has to be trained in how to ask for that. Okay. Right now, men don't know what their job is for a woman. The more successful, independent she is, the more competent she is, the harder it is for them to maintain a romantic relationship. That's just facts. Because unless she knows how to shift gears, and I know women who do know how to shift gears. They had good role models as a mother. She taught them how to be feminine just by her role model of that, but a lot of women didn't have that. You have a single mother, you have no role model on how to be feminine and depend on a man.
John Gray, welcome back to Passion, Love, Pursuit podcast. I am just so happy to have you back on the show because I know your episode that was previously on the show was wildly popular, which I, as mentioned, was not surprised because I know so many people resonate with what you share, but I know what you share is very different than what most people share as far as relationships goes. They kind of scratch the surface and you go a lot deeper. And so I know this episode is going to be packed with so much goodness. So welcome back. Nice to have you.
Thanks so much. It's a little warning for those who are listening. When I will say men are like this, women are like this, it doesn't mean all men, doesn't mean all women. There's always variation.
Absolutely, of course. But what you touch on, a lot of the things you share is actually very much scientific.
Yeah.
So it's something that, maybe some want to argue against it, but what you share is very scientifical. So
I had to make it scientific because over the years, as people become a little more gender confused, because it's natural as women take on the roles that men traditionally would hold to be more independent, which is a great thing. People should know I'm never saying women shouldn't be independent, but what I'm pointing out is that it's very easy as a woman when you become independent to have a difficult time coming back to what we might call female side. Our more independent side is our male side. Our more vulnerable side, our more loving side is our female side. And what we're looking for is balance. I'm a very masculine man with a strong female side. I think I understand women better than most women because I have a strong female side. I think growing up, I was very connected to my mother. So that gave me a sense of understanding the feminine qualities. I had a lot of brothers. And so I was number 5, 4 older brothers. And I think she wanted a girl. So it was like closer to her. She even told my brothers and later in life, they said, they complained that she loved me more. And I said, that's ridiculous. And then she said, well, I've tried to love all my 7 children, but Johnny makes you love him more. So I think it was fulfilling her desire to have a little girl around. But not that I was like a little girl. But what she did is she made sure to support me in martial arts, in my entrepreneur sense. I used to have businesses at 10 years old. And all the way up to my 20s or 19. And then even to strengthen my male side as well, I became a celibate monk for 9 years. And celibacy is a massive discipline. Being a monk is a fasting, all kinds of discipline you do. And that helps strengthen the masculine side of me to balance with my female side, which was already developed. So I just want people to hold this in the context as we explore these differences, that we're looking for the balance.
Absolutely. And actually, that's what I want to talk about. But so people might know you by your name, but I'm sure a lot of people know you, especially by your best-selling book, which was originally Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And you have other books. I have your newest book, which is Beyond Mars and Venus. I have it out here, reading. And people at least know you from that. But you've been talking about relationships and sex and dating for 5 decades, so quite a long time. But what you talk about today is the modern way we date, relationships, and sex, and how to obviously thrive in our relationships. But one of the things I want to talk about first is the problems. So you talk a lot about polarity. And so one important factor is the polarity in a relationship, although I think this concept is not really talked about a lot today. It's maybe avoided. So there's women saying, like, for example, that they don't need a man, and this mindset actually repels a man. How do you think the lack of polarity destroys a relationship?
Well, I'll put it in the other sense, and then we'll look at, well, the way it destroys a relationship, it will neutralize sexual attraction. Okay, so you can start out with sexual attraction. Let's say there's no polarity. And by polarity, what I mean is biologically, a woman is producing 10 to 20 times more female hormones than a man, and a man's producing 10 to 20 times more testosterone than a woman. That's a biological polarity. And that is what gets produced automatically when if there's some sexual compatibility, some interest in sexual attraction, relationship, the newness of the relationship stimulates dopamine. And for a man, that high dopamine will raise his testosterone up 20 times higher than a woman's. And for a woman, it will raise her estrogen up 20 times higher than a man's if she feels safe with that man. If she doesn't feel safe with that man, it may not raise her estrogen.
Okay, so
That's
talking
the
about
polarity. It's a biological polarity. And it's inevitable in a relationship, like you've been together 6 years. After 3 or 4 years, things become routine. The newness of the relationship goes away. And if you're not more feminine and he's not more masculine, the passion and attraction will go away. It's inevitable. And it happens for so many people today, more so than in history. And even when I've gone to indigenous cultures, often couples are regularly throughout their marriage having passionate sex. You can kind of listen in and hear when I'm wandering through the village. Quite surprised how sexually active, quote, natives are, but it's because I can surmise is their lives have so much polarity because women do all the traditional female things, men do all the traditional male things. They're only allowed in the jungle. They do dirty, dangerous, difficult jobs. They don't talk a lot. and for women, they the cooking and the cleaning and the raising of children all together, doing the laundry together at the river. It's a social event. And so what women are getting is more of the social activities tend to stimulate higher levels of estrogen where you're interdepending on people.
So as you were talking about kind of in the modern world, what we're seeing so much today is this lack of polarity because, as we've talked about in our previous episode, women are entering these roles, especially entrepreneurship. And so when you're in work mode, you're operating in your masculine energy and you kind of need to get things done. But the common thing is they're bringing that home. And so what do women need to know to make sure they shift into their feminine energy so that they could have this attraction with, and we're talking about obviously male and female, but this goes for every relationship. There has to be polarity.
Yeah.
So of course it could be same sex. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, what would be your advice for let's give this example, a woman to shift into their feminine energy?
Right. Well, there's great news here. Okay, there's great news that generally speaking, the workplace does not support stimulating estrogen because estrogen primarily goes up when you're feeling depending on someone's positive support. So when you go to a doctor, for example, your estrogen levels will go up. When a man is taking on a romantic date, you're depending on him to provide things. Even one of the reasons going out to a restaurant or going somewhere new and different, hotel room, is such an estrogen stimulator. And in my mind, that's a romantic stimulator because when it goes really high, things can become romantic. It's because women are not having to do anything. I don't have to prepare the room. I don't have to wash the sheets. I don't have to make the meal. When others are doing things for her that she could do for herself, but she doesn't have to do for herself, then the estrogen levels have a chance to rise up. And so that's the dynamic of depending on others for support. The workplace is more, it's not so personal as that. It's like you have to primarily depend on yourself to make decisions. The buck stops with you. It's not necessarily always so cooperative. Anyway, the bottom line is most of the time when anybody, man or woman, is working for money, you're going to get paid for your service. You're going to make testosterone rather than estrogen. But here's the good news. Let's say you're a surgeon, emergency surgeon woman, highly stressful job, right? And every decisive life hangs in the balance of your decision you make. Whenever you have to make decisions that have significant consequence, your testosterone goes up, your estrogen goes down. It's all because you're depending on, it's up to me. So here's an example of a couple who, I've done this for years, testing out couples, what makes their relationship work and so forth. And So they were both, the husband and wife were emergency surgeons. And what did they do to reduce stress? And she said, oh, we go home, we ride Harleys and with friends. And I said, you drive a Harley to lower stress? She says, no, I ride on the back of my husband's Harley. And I said, so he must drive in a way that makes you feel safe in a dangerous situation. And she said, he certainly does. So when women are in a somewhat dangerous situation, but they feel they have support to protect them in that situation, there's a huge surge of estrogen. And when estrogen goes up for women, this is a certain beneficial estrogen that will lower her stress. So it's very comforting for her. So the great news is she's not so stressed at work because she anticipates going home to do that with her husband. The anticipation is even stronger than riding on the Harley. It's the actual, and it's like for me, testosterone for a man goes up when he anticipates success, confident. When he feels I'm confident, I can do my job, get the reward, make a difference, his testosterone will go up. So my testosterone went up long before I started this interview. Just anticipating spending time with you again, my testosterone goes up. It's a friendly audience. You ask good questions. I know I can help people. Boom. So I'm right up there. So I give an exaggerated example of this is when I've been going to China for 15 years, I'm still super famous. And I mean, I'm well known here, but I don't get thousands of people come to my seminars anymore. They've all taken them. That's what my agent said. John, don't feel bad. People have already read your book. They've already taken it. But in China, for some reason, over the last whatever, when I go there, there's thousands of people in the audience. You know, they all just love me. And because there's more people come, I get much more higher payment. So I get paid well. Now, let's just say I wasn't paid well and I had little tiny classes there. I wouldn't want to fly to China. But because there's such a big reward, suddenly, even though I don't want to go there, I want to go there because I'm so well received and so well paid and I fly first class and it's all positive. So just the anticipation of going to China, I want to go. If there's no reward, I don't want to go. So this is how men think. They can do things they don't want to do, but if it's aligned with what their goal is, that this is my goal and this is what I have to do to achieve my goal, then it's not a sacrifice at all. Then I love the journey. And more importantly, and this is, I guess, the point I wanted to make, I have no jet lag. I mean, literally going into a whole nother culture, speaking translation, all that stuff, no fatigue the whole time. When I get home, I have fatigue, but when I'm there, because I'm anticipating success, my testosterone goes to such a high level. So a romantic date, for example, a woman anticipates next Saturday, we're going to go to the ballet. Okay. Or next Saturday, we're going to spend some time with our friends and so forth. That anticipation of a social, mutually interdependent situation will keep her estrogen up even when she's at work, going through the grind. So it's a lot about work-life balance so that you're anticipating coming home to the things that will stimulate the hormones that are appropriate for you at that time of the month.
Amazing. So what I'm hearing from you is, and I know you share this, there's biohacks to basically optimize your hormones that serve you in the relationship. And so they kind of go hand in hand, meaning if your estrogen raises, that's boosting his testosterone, and it kind of goes hand in hand, and you're supporting one another. And so I love that you share that, because these are the things that I think these tangible tips you provide is ways that we could help support each other so that we could have this dynamic of opposite attraction.
Right. So a polarity would look like this. Let's say women typically like to hug their husbands. Okay. So husband comes home and she says, oh, honey, where are you? And she runs after him to give him a hug. That's going to be a little bit of oxytocin, which is the safety hormone, and a little bit of estrogen. But if he comes home and he says, honey, where are you? Or you come home later from your office and he greets you at the door, or when he comes home, he finds you wherever you are. So he's looking for you. Already your estrogen levels are going to go up higher because someone is pursuing you. Then when he gives you the hug, he gives you a hug for 6 seconds. It takes actually 6 seconds for the oxytocin to increase in her body. This is measurable. A non-sexual hug, sexual hug, it doesn't work. But for a non-sexual hug, meaning there's no goal, anything, just, hey, I just want to connect with you again. So doing that, her oxytocin will go up. Then when she feels safe, then her brain shifts and she starts remembering the good things about her partner more, and her estrogen levels will rise. So that's what we want. We want, one of the ways to increase estrogen is to feel, first the oxytocin there is of safety, and then the estrogen can go up. Talking is a major estrogen stimulator for women, just huge. Uh, Pretty much anytime you share what's going on inside of you and somebody's listening and hearing you, you're being seen, you're being heard, you're not being judged. There's a sense of, I want to just sort of share myself if I'm a woman and have somebody who is totally safe. That's why we have this whole industry that I'm part of, which is called counseling and therapy. 90% of the people who go to therapists are women because they greatly value being able to sort of sort things out, talk things
Talk about
out,
things.
whether you're not necessarily asking for a solution, you're just wanting to have somebody hear you, nod along with you, and particularly friendly, very friendly. And if men don't understand women, or women don't understand men in order to ask for what they want, because men don't know what women want. If a woman's talking about some problems, sorting things out, just by mere talking about it, he mistakenly assumes she's asking for his advice. And sort of inside of every man is a fireman, which is, oh, if there's a fire, I got to put it out right away. So, as you're going along talking, he's like, what's the point? What do you want from me? How can I help you? How can I explain to you not to be unhappy? And that's not what she's looking for at all. So men don't know that because, if my job is a fireman, the bell rings, I know my job to do, which is go put out the fire. And in this case, it's to patiently ask for more questions. Tell me more, help me understand this better. What else? And then what happened? These are nice questions to draw things out, to take longer. But he's like a little Ferrari. He wants to just jump in there and get to the goal and solve the problem and make her feel good again. And it doesn't feel good to have somebody rushing you along or wanting you to get to the point, or so why are you telling me that? Or just say, a big thing that we men do is we say to women, well, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Now, that's how we deal with stress as men, which is,
Right.
okay, if I can solve it, let me solve it. If I can't solve it, let me forget it until I can solve it. Because for men, why are we that way? Because solving problems raises our testosterone. But if we can't solve the problem, we just forget the problem. Well, I can't do anything about it, so don't worry about it. It's just like, I don't know for sure that it's going to happen anyway if it's the future. I remember I used to, back before we had all the phones and everything, I lose the keys to my car. They'd be somewhere in my house. And I'm like ready to go to the airport, waiting to the last minute to go to the airport for some big trip. And I can't find the keys to my car. There's no Uber then. And what I would do, I would just do a little signal. I would put my thumb on my palm. And that was just, you don't know that you've lost it until you've looked. And then my fear would go away instantly. Because, it's like, don't worry about it until you know for sure you can't find your keys. And you've always found them in the past. So I just anchored that in, and then any anxiety just goes away. Well, nothing I can do about it right this moment. And I don't know for sure what's going to happen in the future. So these are ways of dealing with emotions in a very logical, rational way, which is really healthy for men. And one of the problems in relationships today is because it's really healthy for women to get to that rational place. But first, just start out talking about what you feel. That's how you connect to your soul. It's your soul that guides you in life, which I feel sad about this, disappointed. I feel happy about this. These are reactions. So first you explore what's true for me. Now you're coming back to what's true for you. And when you're there, insight comes, logic comes, rational thought comes. And for men, when they have rational thought, then love can come. Okay. So first I have to talk myself out of this, which is bothering me. Then I can feel happy and feel more giving and generous. So we sort of have mirror opposites, is that when men are stressed, there's a problem. We need to first go over to our male side and then come back to our female side. And the male side of a woman, the male side of a man is being logical, being rational, and being completely shut down from emotions.
Right.
This is the way we are. And ideally, we want to be kind of a balance all the time. But stress means, if we're stressed, it means we've knocked out of balance. That's what stress is. If our body's having stress, we're out of balance. And generally for women, in most cases, when she's stressed, you can measure her hormones, and her testosterone will be really high and her estrogen will be really low. Or her testosterone will be low and her her testosterone is high, but her progesterone is low.
Mm.
So after ovulation, women don't need as much estrogen, but they need a lot more progesterone. And progesterone is produced when you're enjoying what you're doing. It shifts for different women. Some women are more um, extrovert. So social interactions produce progesterone that you're enjoying, that you choose to be in. There's no have to, but I like to do. Or if you're more introverted, it's doing things you like to do without a lot of people around. It could be working in your garden. It could be spending time with a friend, having lunch. It could be taking a bath, reading a book, just whatever nurturing, self-nurturing things. For some women, that's going to produce progesterone. For other women, it's more of a social interaction that produces progesterone. But it's never a feeling of, oh, this is something I'm obligated to do or I have to do and I don't want to do. That produces testosterone. This is why, for historical times, men are suited to do what they don't like doing. This is how we're designed.
Yeah.
We are happy to do dirty, dangerous, difficult jobs as long as it's what we have to do in order to achieve our goal. Now, our goal, if I don't have a goal, then everything's a sacrifice too. So much of what is being taught in terms of personal development and so forth is set goals. It's got to set goals. That's particularly for our male side, and it's particularly important for men. Men have to have, from my point of view, clarity of what is the outcome I want to produce. So it's my choice. I choose that outcome. That's what I want. Then what I have to do is not a problem at all. Well, that's what I have to do. I have to do it. And then we don't complain about it. The biggest turnoff that men don't realize, and women don't realize how they set men up for this, which is men complaining. There is a female inside of every man who sometimes just wants to burst out and say, this is too hard. I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I made a mistake. Just wants to come bursting out. And part of being masculine is learning to not let it burst out, to suck it up. And I've never used that exact example because it was happening this morning to me. Rarely. My wife said, everything good? I say, oh, yeah, of course. But inside of me, I wanted to complain about something. I really, really wanted to complain. It was like huge force. It's my female side wanting to say what's wrong and seek empathy if I have that already, I'm on my female side too much. And the last thing I want to do is go too far over there. I need to come back to my male side. And the reason I even had that happen is because the day before, for certain reasons, I had no work to do. I had the whole Wednesday off. I sat around, watched TV, did some meditation, looked at the news, did not, I sometimes just need a break. So I just took it, but there was no testosterone being produced that day. And so the next morning I was way on my female side. And so this is too hard. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't know. And I had to use force. I should just suck in your stomach. Do not do that because it's a turnoff to my wife. And, a lot of women will say, but I like to hear a man talk about his feelings. Yeah. Talk about how much he loves you, how much he missed you, how much he cares about you, how beautiful you are, how lucky he feels to be with you. Yeah. I have all those feelings. Those are the ones I should talk about. But when you dwell too much on your negative feelings, if you're a man, it doesn't have the therapeutic beneficial effect like it would for a woman.
So would you recommend, based on that, because I know in today's time, we support people being vulnerable and not withholding their emotions. So would you say that man that has something they want to let out and complain about or whatever it may be, they should go to their male friends or they should go to a therapist, not their partner?
Not their partner, or they can journal it. They could have journaled it. But even for me, sometimes before I'll journal it, and I'm a big journaler, I really talk about it. But many times I want to actually feel the strength of not being able to share that with my partner. If it's a complaint, and it's not a complaint about her, it was just a complaint about everything. This is not a good time for me for various reasons. Just get a glimpse of my life right now, which is my business partner of 25, maybe 25, 30 years, who handled all of my estate, died and lost
Oh no.
a $20 million deal on the internet. I mean, it was,
Oh goodness.
he was
Did
going to,
this
he was
happen
going
a
to
few
short.
months ago or
Yeah.
something? And
Yeah. It happened a
yeah,
few months.
I heard something
So
happen. I'm
I'm
so
dealing with all
sorry.
the repercussions of that, and the
Mm,
lawsuits against him and the companies,
wow.
and all, unbeknownst to me, so, uh, so I go through I have to, it's more challenge in my life now. And, I hold it in a very positive light. God gives us the challenges that we can deal with. And that's always been the case in my life. People see how successful my books have been. They have no idea the trials and
Of
tribulations
course.
of doing that. Just even a little glimpse. I'm not really complaining, but I'm making the glimpse. I'm not, but I never, for 10 years, I never received a positive print interview on my book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Now,
What?
on the other hand, I received glowing reports in terms of the bestseller lists and the media. This is before the internet. We just had media, the big news stations, Oprah, and those various people all loved me. But the print interview, and you kind of go, why? I said, well, they're all writers, and they're probably jealous that I was sitting on the list for
Mm,
20 years on the number one spot.
yeah, who knows? So, kind of just touching on some that you shared, how can women support men's testosterone? If you could give us some examples,
Yeah.
some situations, and then on the flip side, how could men support a woman in enhancing her estrogen?
Okay, that's a big theme, and of course, that's all every page on this book that we talked about is doing
That's
that. But
true. You're
let
right.
me let me we'll go in that direction. There's so many things we can do, and you can pick out more. But here's the red flags in relationships today, and a woman has the power to solve this problem, which is, like, for example, if your husband drinks too much, uh, that's just a boundary that you have to be able to do it. Now, I don't really drink too much, but to give an example of how my wife dealt with it, I don't drink at all except at social events. And when I drink, I'm hysterically funny. Okay. And I'm always saying interesting things, but I can tell you about I'm always on a trip somewhere coming back. I can tell you all the mishaps, how funny it was, and entertain people. And, I did a show on Broadway entertaining people with Mars Venus. So I have a side of me that can be very funny and very entertaining. So we would go to parties. As soon as you give me one beer, I'm just a beer drinker. I'm so funny. And everybody comes around asking me questions. I'm telling stories. And at the end of the night, my wife would say, so, John, tell me, what do you know about anybody? What do you know more about anybody in the room? No, they all know you, but you don't know them. And that's what a
Mm,
social event is. You're supposed to learn about other people. They get to be seen and heard by you and so forth. So her way of dealing with that was, so that's you. It would be fun if you would, share with other people, hear other people, and not take all the attention, the center of the
mm,
attention every time. But if you want to do that, I'll just go outside the room and have a conversation with somebody. You're not wrong for doing that, but I'll just take care of my needs. So I didn't feel any resentment from her, but I want her to be, I'm at a party with her. I want to be there. So it just took a couple of times of her doing that. Then I realized, oh, I was doing the center of attention thing and stopped. Okay. So it's learning how to set a boundary without punishing a man,
mm,
or without having to get angry at him and not making him so wrong, but just saying, this works for you. It doesn't work for me. This is what I would like. So I gave that example of that, but there's other, and that was mild. Okay. But there's places where guys just drink too much, and you just have to basically, I don't feel safe, if this is what you do. I feel like it's more important than me. And so this is it's a line, and I need some progress in that direction. The second thing is something that's kind of obvious. Most people know that one, but the other one is for women with men. Well, first of all, why is drinking too much? Drinking too much lowers men's testosterone. Okay,
right.
that's proven. It builds up estrogen, uh, and if he has low testosterone and estrogen goes up high, he'll be a bad drunk, and it's
Mm,
awful. And just these are the things where you have to have a real clear boundary and an understanding of it, so a man can really understand it, how it feels in a kind way. These things need to be communicated in a kind way. But the next one, which is pornography. We have this sort of sex positive culture, and I'm all for thinking sex is this amazing thing in the context of love. Okay, so there's a I'm not preaching like some fundamentalist person. I'm just saying that if you want your relationship to thrive, if you want passion to last in the relationship, it's polarity and it's love. And when that polarity goes away, and that's the most common thing, there's no attraction. The attraction goes away unless you're doing something which you wouldn't want to tell your mother about. Okay, that means it's dangerous to let anybody know you do that. That will then produce dopamine, but now your arousal to your partner is based upon doing something dangerous, something which uh, our culture would not smile at, or something like that, or just something that's impersonal. That when you have sex with someone you love, there's an exchange of energy. When you have sex with yourself or someone you don't love, there's no exchange. The energy just leaves your body. Men should save that energy. It will build up and give to the woman, and she will feel it all week long. Women can feel, is he with me? Is he not with me?
For sure.
And this is talking about energy. Men don't always get the energy thing. They may not feel it the way a woman does, but a woman can feel it. And yet there's so much encouragement to like sit and watch porn together. I'm going to just give an example. This will destroy your relationship. Okay. This is an encouraged by therapists. I remember in the first couple of years of our marriage, that's why we had videotapes with porn, and somebody, oh, you ought to watch this with your wife. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do that. And fortunately for my wife, we looked for about 10 minutes. My wife started laughing. That was a turn off to me, just completely laughing. Okay. So we'll forget about that. But what it is what creates the passion is the polarity and the expression of love. And there's two, I don't know, I could say two schools of thought. It's almost every book I've read on sex is all about tricks and tips to increase your pleasure in sex. And yes, that's a nice thing to understand a woman's biology, a man's biology. And I've written books on that, Mars, Venus in the Bedroom. I have a class on it at my marsvenus.com on sex. However, the overall emphasis is you're using the sexual energy to feel more. See, particularly for men, to extent we are like in a wheelchair when it comes to feeling love compared to a woman. The ability to feel love is determined in a woman's body by high levels of estrogen. When her estrogen level goes higher and higher as in a response to somebody helping her, that will allow her to feel the love more strongly. For men, if you just do nice things for me, my estrogen will go up and I don't bond with you at all. And my energy doesn't go to you at all. Okay. My masculine energy, I'm just being feminine, basically. If you're receiving a woman pleasuring your body, and if I'm just using a woman to feel pleasure, my estrogen goes up, my testosterone crashes big time. So the whole idea here is what sex is great for men, particularly because in sex, we feel more. There's more pleasure. I mean, we're designed to feel pleasure around sex, so we'll make babies and civilization goes on. So we're wired up to get a lot of pleasure from that. And we can be like a monkeys wanting to do it for pleasure, or we can be like enlightened people who are in love with each other. And you use the pleasure for the man particularly to feel more. And then instead of focusing on increasing pleasure, he focuses on feeling the love that he has and communicating that love, expressing that love. And I don't know if last time did I talk about the biohack where she says things to him so he can communicate his love.
I don't
Let me talk about
recall
that.
that.
So here's a biohack for
Yeah.
this. This is
Yeah,
what
please.
completely changed sex for me. The first course I ever taught after being a monk was the purpose of sex is to share and express love. It's been my theme always. Uh, why just have sex, which is a momentary experience that literally you lose life force? Every ancient tradition, is in the tantric tradition, also the Taoist tradition. I've studied both. They've all outlined throughout history that men who learn to have sex without ejaculating live longer. They live for hundreds of years. When you read these stories of people living long lives, it's because the men learned how to have sex without ejaculating. Now, I'm not saying every man can do that. I have learned to do it. It's a very big part of my thing. It takes a lot of practice. It's like throwing the basketball in the hoop every time. It takes a lot of practice. Because what you have to do is you have to get up, for like 1 to 10, around 7, you start noticing this is going to end soon if you're a man. So around 7, what you do is you just uh, move your body the way you would if you were at a 10. That releases the energy,
Hmm.
and focus on the love that you feel for your partner and express verbally your love for them. And most people don't talk. So sex is short and just goes down lower part of the body. You want to feel the love here and then express the love out loud. And what pulls that love out of a man, allows him to feel it more, is the woman. And there's, just the fact that you're naked pulls it out because you're vulnerable. But what's even more vulnerable is emotional vulnerability. Emotional vulnerability is an exercise I teach, which is called the reassurance exercise, where the woman says, "Do you like me?" And man says, "Yes." The woman says, "Do you love me?" Man says, "Yes, I love you." She says, "How much do you love me?" "I love you with all my heart." "Do you think I'm beautiful?" "You are an angel. You're so beautiful. I love you just the way you are." "Will you always love me if you're married? Will you always?" "Yes, I will always love you." "Are you mad at me? Are you sure?" "I'm not mad at you at all." "Do you regret being married to me?" "No, I don't regret being married to you." These are things. It's music to her ears. Okay, it's not like.
Right.
But if you don't understand it as a process, a reassurance exercise that not only touches her in a very deep way, but it also allows him to feel and express the love that's in there. He will feel more when she's asking to hear it, if it's in the context of something that will help her. If you just went to your husband and said, "Well, honey, do you love me?" "Well, of course I love you. I did this for you. I do this for you." It's like
Right.
an of course, which, by the way, research shows that whenever you say to somebody, "of course," their stress levels go up.
Oh, interesting.
Look, because think about what you're saying when someone says, "of course." It's like, "You idiot, you stupid person. Why would you ask something so foolish?" It has a real slant to it. But it's natural for some, if a woman just asks a man, "Do you love me?" Well, he'll take it like a challenge. Like, "Why would you think I don't love you?" He'll could take it as criticism. Not all men. But here's where she can just, you have the practice outside the bedroom is quite regularly. She will initiate a reassurance exercise. He says he can also initiate it, because I find women are most afraid of this than men.
Hmm.
Uh, so he can say, "Let's do the reassurance exercise." And she says, "Okay." And she then says that goes to the script. "Do you love me? Do you like me? Do you think I'm beautiful? Are you happy to marry me? Do you have any regret?" Just a few words like that. What that does, it's like foreplay, building his estrogen up with every answer. Because deep inside every woman, let's look at not every woman, but most women, they want to feel the way they felt in the beginning of the relationship. Okay. And so go back to, what did you feel at the beginning of the relationship? "Do you like me? Do you love me? Do you care about me? Do you want to be with me? Are you glad to be with me? Do you feel lucky to be with me? Am I beautiful for you? Are you sure?" So we all have a need for reassurance. And I have to give ourselves permission to have that, just as I need reassurance as a man, not that I'm loved by you, but that most of the reassurance men need is from their work, not from their wives. The only reassurance I need from my wife is to see that she's happy in response to what I say or do. And that's her basic response. Men get most of their reassurance through their work, that they can provide, they can make money,
Right.
they can make a difference, so that then he should not be looking to his wife for approval. He has to earn that approval. And then he looks to his wife to make her happier. And when he can make her happier, that's a sign that allows him to go even higher than his work can take him.
Absolutely. So I know a common question, and a kind of you're touching on a lot of points right now, but a common question is, let's say somebody's been in a long-term relationship or they're married, they have kids, and the passion's kind of died out. How could we reignite that passion and have that intimacy that we once had when there's all these stressors, when it's a long-term relationship, we're comfortable, we've been married, we have kids, or whatever it may be? What is your advice for bringing the passion back into the relationship?
So the first step is talking about your sex life.
Hmm.
Very important. Uh, we do it almost every time. For example, after we have sex, we summarize. "So, how did that start? What were you feeling? What did you like best?" We just keep making a dialogue about it. Okay. The more you talk about things, you bring them to the surface. Couples that are not having sex or feeling passion don't talk about their sex life. And the most important thing for women is to talk about what they experience, but also when it comes to sex, to know what is his experience in sex. And
Right.
each time, and then what happened, and then what happened. And, we do like 30 minutes to an hour every time we have sex. So it's a lot of different feelings and a lot of different moments. And sometimes she'll ask me, these are good things that create conversation. She'll ask me, tell me some things you did because you love me, and then sometimes it's where we could have dinner tonight. And it's just, we need to bring conversation into it. So it's not this sort of unspoken experience. Now, that's just one thing. Another one is get a conversation. Another one is, it's hard for couples to have a conversation about sex. It's something we don't do in our society and so forth. It's easy for me. I've been teaching it for 40 years. So, but I wrote my book, and I don't want to just pitch my book. Maybe there's other books too, but I wrote my book, Maury's Venus in the Bedroom, so couples could read the chapters out loud to each other, one chapter at a time. And it's just simply reading the chapters. And what do you think about that? Well, how does that feel to you? And so there's a permission. It's just like permission to talk about it, permission to go, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's do that. As opposed to a man just out of the blue saying, honey, why don't we do this? And she's going to go, well, who gave you that idea? When your partner has new moves, you always wonder, like, where did that come from? So there's that aspect of it. But there's also, if a woman brings up the subject of, honey, maybe you could try doing this, he'll feel like, well, we've been together 10 years. Haven't you told me? I've been doing it wrong all this time. We all tend to be more sensitive when it comes to sex. And maybe even men are way more sensitive because it's the one place which he has no control over at all. He can control where he puts it, but he can't make it go up or down. So we're highly vulnerable at that time. And, we measure our performance by how she feels. And what I say to couples is, if you stopped having sex, you start having sex by when you're not in the mood, and you do it once a week and you're not in the mood, but you create all the settings for sex. And you give each other loving massages. You put on some nice music, light some candles, and then gently touch. And he doesn't touch in a sexual way until she moves his hands towards her breast, so to speak, or somewhere else. But it's just simply a time where he's providing for her. She then provides for him as well with some more sexual massage. She's touching him. She can also touch the penis, stroke the penis a bit, but never bring it to orgasm. You don't want ever a man to climax unless a woman climax first. That also disturbs the polarity. That makes her way more masculine and him way more feminine. So, it's one of the big themes in my book. Always women come first, or, she's ready for him to have his time. But ideally, he learns how to stay relaxed, not just come right away. And so many men, when they get going, their goal is to ejaculate. And I teach men, you don't have to, you can do this many times a week if you don't ejaculate. And there's another aspect of just understanding sex without ejaculation every time. I know some guys that say that, well, I don't want to give it up completely, but I'm happy to try it and learn to do it, because men want to last longer. Most men want to last longer. It's a bell curve. There are men on one side of the bell curve which can't ejaculate, which they have emotional issues. They just can't surrender and have to go in another room to ejaculate. And that's an intimacy problem. But the majority of men today, because they have low T and high estrogen, they will tend to be premature ejaculators, which means they like to last longer. So this is a great technique for them to last longer, is when they get to 7, don't get to 8. 8 is where you're trying to hold.
You're crossed over.
Your body's already ready to go. So at 7, and you just say to yourself, it's a kind of a thing, which is, oh, I just had my peak. Okay. Because the energy goes up and comes down. If your energy goes up and it doesn't come down, then you have to push hard, and too much tension builds up and ejaculation occurs. And that's for women as well. So much pressure on women to climax. And there's so many women who can't climax or feel sex is work. They're trying to have a climax instead of having non-goal oriented sex. Our goal is to feel more love and touch each other in ways that are pleasing for each other. And when you set that, then without pressure, a woman's arousal can start to increase. And also, she can touch his penis, hold his penis, stroke it a little bit, but not too much. If she takes it all the way, he ejaculates without her opening up, his testosterone will shoot way down. And you look at some of the research on this. We don't have research on everything, but we know amazing research is that when a man ejaculates on Saturday night and then he waits 6 days without ejaculating, his testosterone will double. If he doesn't wait 6 days without ejaculating, say on Tuesday he has sex or he has sex with himself, on Saturday his testosterone hasn't doubled. Because women need to feel that amped up of men's attention and affection and interest uh, on an emotional level. Otherwise, if he's, there's men who are like addicted to ejaculation, which is they'll do it every day, and it's like an addiction craving. But she feels he's not craving me; he's
Yeah.
craving his
Yeah.
release, and it's not it's not a turn on for her. It's just not a turn on. So that's a subtlety. So abstinence for a week, and as you get older, maybe in your 50s, abstinence for 9 days. You need a little
Mhm.
bit longer. When you're single, you don't need as much time because you didn't bond, but it's all you're doing is having non-intimate sex. Ironically, non-intimate sex for many men, they can last longer, but they're not interested in coming back to the same woman. What happens is when you have ejaculation with your wife or having sex with your wife, either way, if it's your wife and you love her and she loves you, your body makes a different chemical than if you had sex with yourself or with a stranger. When you have sex with a stranger or sex with yourself, which means there's no love. If you have sex without love, you love the experience. Everybody loves, guys love doing it, but it's not loving another person. So when you have sex without intimate love, what happens is your body becomes more addicted to having sex. It's like the universe says you had sex with somebody you don't love. You need to go find somebody. It gives men stronger desire to go out there, but it's an addictive desire. The addictive brain chemical is dopamine. So when you have sex with somebody who's a stranger or yourself, the dopamine levels will shoot really, really high, like you just took cocaine. And we know then the receptor sites close down. Now you crave the cocaine again. It's like an addiction. Nature makes it so men aren't addicted to sex by producing, when you have sex with your wife, someone you love, commitment is a big part of this. You're committed to her. Then your body makes a hormone called prolactin, and prolactin frees him from sexual addiction. It also frees him from sexual lust unless there's polarity. And of course, the way thousands of years have passed, there've always been polarity between male and female.
Yeah.
So it was like what kept you together was the polarity rather than the addiction to sex.
What do you think? I'm just obviously, because you've been in this so long. Today, what do you think is the biggest problem in relationships that you're seeing, like that both parties are sabotaging relationships?
Well, I can take out the meta view is nobody knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
because in order to have a successful relationship today, men have to be trained on how to help a woman come back to her female side. Women have to be trained on how to use a man and help to bring her back to her female side. And in addition, she has to be trained in how to ask for that. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a thing where, my mother
Skills.
never had to ask my father for anything because all she wanted was a good provider and a gentleman. So he learned to be somewhat of a gentleman, and he was a good provider, and a protector. So what did she have to ask for, really, in terms of asking for more or asking for something different? His job was clear to him. Right now, men don't know what their job is for a woman. The more successful, independent she is, the more competent she is, the harder it is for them to maintain a romantic relationship. That's just facts. Because unless she knows how to shift gears. And I know women who do know how to shift gears. They had good role models as a mother. She taught them how to be feminine just by her role model of that. But a lot of women didn't have that. You have a single mother, you have no role model on how to be feminine and depend on a man. This is a crisis.
Absolutely.
Very, very challenging on how to be on that vulnerable side. And to be on your vulnerable side, you have to depend on a man. My dad, he learned all he needed to do was be a gentleman, not yell. and he didn't ever yell. He only yelled at the TV because it was very political. So he would yell at the corruption of the government. But my wife never got it. None of the kids ever got it. So he had his vent for that. But for in relationships today, women can't experience happiness unless they balance their testosterone side with their female side. And men experience that. They say, why is my wife not happy? She's not happy. So when women aren't happy, it's generally speaking, in a big context, is she's not on her female side. So symptoms of being on your female side: you feel grateful for what you have. You feel happy with the opportunities that you have. You feel I can trust and depend on so many places to be fulfilled. Happiness and gratitude and love, not this needy love, but it's, I need you, but I'm grateful for what I get, is very different from I need more. Okay.
Right.
One is needy and one is I appreciate you. So ultimately, messages that a man hears, it could be she's saying what she's saying, but it's what does he hear? Messages that say to a man, I can't depend on you. You need to change, and you don't do anything for me. Okay. Any of those things, it's just like knocks his testosterone,
Repels a man. Yeah.
repels the man completely.
Yeah.
The flip side of that, and the subtle message I just gave, is when you want help from a man and you don't ask, you're giving him a message you don't trust that he wants to do that. And this is, again, a paradox, because you can ask a man to do certain things and he doesn't want to do them. But if you let him know it will make you happy and you'd like him to do it, now he'll want to do it. So I can change on a dime. If you just say, hey, do you want to go to the store and pick up some milk? No, I'd rather do it tomorrow. It would really be nice if you did it tonight. Then I'd have milk for the kids in the morning. Okay, I'll go. See, it's a matter of shift it around. Let me see your priority. And if something's going to make you happy or it's important to you, now I can shift what I want to do to wanting to do what you want to do. Because ultimately, the higher goal for men in relationships is I want to be able to provide a life for my wife where she's happy, because it's selfish. My wife says to me, she can't believe how generous and amazing guy I am. I'm so not selfish. I said, honey, I'm totally selfish. I want a happy wife. I want a happy wife. I do all the things I do. I love you, but because I can make you happy. That allows me to love you. If I'm not getting messages that I'm doing a good job, I can't feel the love in my heart.
Right.
See, it's really important for men to have their testosterone go up in reaction to their wife. My testosterone going up in reaction to work lowers my stress. But when my testosterone goes up in reaction to my wife being happy, because when she's happy, I take responsibility for it. For example, I take her to the movies. It was a good movie. She says, that was such a great movie. Already I'm feeling fantastic because I brought her to the movie. I picked the movie, which is another great thing for men, is when they pick something and you're happy, then testosterone goes way up. And if they pick something and you didn't like it, then their testosterone goes down. So after a while, men stop planning dates, because on dates,
that's a good message for women listening, because I think we unconsciously will respond on the opposite way, and that what you're mentioning is harming them from doing more in the future.
Yeah, right. It happens in so many different ways. I remember for Bonnie, when we would go out on dates, first 3 dates we went on, and I was for a dress up date, and I would wear a tie, and after we're married, and she would say, that tie doesn't go with that shirt. I said, okay, I'm cool. Pick out the tie. So on the 4th time it happened, I remember going to pick out my tie, and instead of picking out my tie, I went to her and said, honey, would you pick out my tie? Well, that's him referring to her. And women get really annoyed when men start always asking, well, what do you want, honey? What do you want, honey? What do you want? He's no longer coming from his own thoughtfulness of what can I do on my own decision to make her happy. So there's a weakening of his own decisiveness when he keeps making mistakes. So how do we resolve that? It's not like I'm just going to wear any junk food. But what I would do is I told her, whenever you want to give me advice on my clothing, ask permission. Just say, hey, I'm really dressing up tonight. Can I be your fashion designer tonight? I say, yes. So there's a clear distinction, because men want to please women so much that we become passive. We don't take the risk of doing things after a while. So one of the great things in dating is, with your spouse or when you're single, is you basically say to a man, here's 3 things I'd like to do next week. So this is her role. Romance is a 2-way street. Let him know 3 things that you would like to do that would feel good to you, and say, would you pick? And what you say, the 3 things, are never things that he wants to do. Okay. It's not for him. Maybe he does want to do it, but he will want to do it because it's one of the 3 things that you would like to do. So you basically say, you pick and let me know what you think. And let me know what you're going to do. It's basically you pick. And so when he picks, then when you enjoy yourself, he can take credit for it. If you
Right.
picked it, he doesn't get credit for it. It's like,
Right. Right.
so make it options for him, but help him out there so he can feel successful. And whether you're doing that technique or not, just know you're walking on thin ice when a man does something romantic for you in terms of what's your response for it. You always want to encourage. Well, and
Lean that way.
yeah,
Yes.
lean that way. I remember I took this is another good example. I learned this was I took my wife to a movie. It was a terrible movie. And I wanted to leave in the middle. She said, "Oh no, let's see, maybe we'll get better." And at the end of the movie, I just felt terrible because of my failed, emotional level. And I just said to her, "Well, honey, did you like the movie?" And I was looking for reassurance actually. And she said, "That sunset scene was really nice." So that was
Oh,
enough for me. I went, "Yep, I filmed the sunset scene. I didn't make the movie. That was a terrible movie." But
that's
just
great.
let them off the hook in some way.
That's great. Okay, so just in closure, because I want to really honor your time. Do you have a moment more?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We're a little bit over, but that's okay. One more question.
So, because I want people, after listening to this episode today, besides obviously going to the show notes, grabbing all the resources that I've plugged in to find out more of John Gray, his books, his courses, there's so many offerings. So I encourage people to just dive into all the goodness. But just leaving this episode today, if you were to leave some advice for something that, and this is speaking to people that are in relationship. Obviously, you talk to people as far as it goes to dating and somebody that's single, but people that are in relationship that want to improve their relationship for where it's at right now, and they want to leave this episode and immediately go into action to improve their relationship. What should the male and what should the female do?
All right. Well, there's so many details but here's some other really powerful ones I haven't covered. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Men, ask more questions. Say less. Don't get angry. If you're angry, stop talking and say, "Let's talk about this later." Don't raise your voice to a woman. You shut her down whenever you do it, just to know that. Women, when a guy is angry, don't continue a conversation. The worst thing you could do is ask questions like, "What are you feeling?" Or "Why would you say that?" Or "How could you say that?" It's fuel for the fire. Whenever a man is getting angry, it means already his estrogen's gone too high. That's, I'll stop there to explain that. When a man estrogen goes too high, he will exhibit anger. Anytime a man is angry or aggressive, his testosterone is going down, his estrogen is going up. Well, we know that one of the most powerful ways to raise estrogen is to talk when you're feeling that way. But for women, the most powerful way, if she's not happy, is to be able to talk and her estrogen will come up. And for her, that lowers her stress, allows her to come back to a more centered place and recognize that what she was upset about is, quote, not such a big deal. And if she can use these magic phrases, there's so many magic phrases, but here's one that comes to mind, which is after you've had him listen for a little while and you see he's exhausted, don't take it personally because he's basically holding back the fireman inside that wants to solve the problem. Why are you upset about this? And make sure, try to make it not go beyond 10 minutes. That's sort of most men's limit. Certainly it can go beyond that. But in the beginning, train him with 10 minutes. And then just say, listening, just being able to share this. This is a revelation for me. My wife's saying to me, "John, just being able to talk about with this makes me feel better, And what she also said, she had a lot of wisdom. She said, "I know you think your listening is not helping, but it is. It's really helping me to feel better." Wow. So that was one phrase that really made me realize that just listening can be a gift to women because we want to do something. The next one is another time was expressed to me was, "Thanks so much for listening. And it really wasn't a big deal. And it just felt good to be able to talk about it." Okay. Whenever you say to a man, it's not a big deal, he just relaxes. If you have a request to him, "Oh, honey, you were late for dinner last night. I really appreciate a call. It's not such a big deal, but it makes me happy." Whenever you say it's not a big deal, it has the opposite effect of what women think. When you say it's not a big deal, men will remember it more. When you make it a big deal, men will block it out of their consciousness.
Wow.
They want to forget. And how do we deal with stress? Often just let me forget it. It goes into the forget that stuff. I don't want to be thinking that all the time. So those are a few little ones. And I just, we're coming close to Valentine's Day, or, romantic time. And I've talked about those things, several things, but there's another thing about just feeling good about you. Okay. And I just know that many times I help women go on a high protein diet, and they suddenly start having more energy. Their muscles will get bigger and their belly will get smaller. This is for both men and women. If you lose 3 pounds, 5 pounds on a healthy diet by eating more, you have so much energy. You have enthusiastic, you have more confidence, you feel better. It's amazing what a shift it does. And I know that, we have this whole thing about sex positive, and I've talked about, well, sex with love is a positive thing. But when it comes to body image, we all have our different body shapes and sizes. But if your body is bigger than your healthy state, losing a few pounds, building some muscle mass makes you feel fantastic. I mean, you don't have to become
Absolutely.
perfect. It's just a small change, the way it affects us. And so, I've been studying this. I wrote books on this and everything. And there's recent research showing this particular protein. It's grass fed, it's cool processed, it's got enzymes in it. You put it into warm water, it digests in 45 minutes, 100-degree water. The enzymes become active, break down the proteins, and your brain will absorb 95% of the amino acids. If you're if you're having a steak even, or a protein or anything, you're usually getting about 20% of the amino acids, up to 30%. Here, you're getting all these amino acids, takes away food cravings, helps you not to snack between meals. I mean, we know the most important thing is a little bit of exercise, but the research shows just doing this program, peer-reviewed studies show that people would gain muscle mass and lose fat by
Mhm.
eating more. Okay, so you actually lose weight by eating more, not too much weight, but you want to get 5 or 10 pounds off, and particularly after the winter, where we're eating more to protect ourselves. It's a natural thing in the wintertime to eat more. Now you can eat more protein and you have less carb cravings. So this is, if people want guided help, our I have a partner who does this, and for about 25 years, we've been doing this for people, and they get hands-on coaching for this. The coaching is free. And how do you find it? Go to marsvenus.com, go down to the bottom of the page, contact us. So you have to contact us, and the little form you fill out, and somebody will contact you, put in your phone number or email, and they'll check in. And we do little talks on this. So I just want to add that as another thing.
Yeah, thank you.
And the third thing is at the top of the page at marsvenus.com is a button that says men or women. And it's a supplement that I developed 25 years ago, which I think I used to have 30, but this, everybody else does the other 30. But this is one which is 20, has certain ingredients that will dramatically lower your stress levels. So if you have high
Okay.
ups and downs, they become much more moderate. And you'll notice right away in a week, during the first week, and
Mhm.
you'll continue to notice. If you're a person that doesn't have any kind of mood swings, you won't notice so much. But the ingredients in there are proven to regenerate brain cells and grow brain cells. So, I have more brain cells than when I was younger because I've been doing this for 25 years. So these are powerful supplements. I'm not going to take the time to explain it, but if you push the button, then it takes you to Amazon, where it has 5 pages of explaining all the ingredients and how wonderful it
Okay, great.
is.
Is it something like ashwagandha? And
Oh, it does have ashwagandha in it,
yeah,
but
that
a whole
sounds
bunch of other
great.
things.
Yeah.
The major thing in it, the real thing that it's so powerful, is the right amount of lithium.
Mm.
Lithium balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain. It balances dopamine, serotonin production. It stabilizes the brain in the right amount. Lithium, the drug companies do not want anybody to know about lithium because they give it out in a toxic dose. And they used to use it for bipolar, depression, anxiety, sleeplessness. It would work, but they had to give people 50 to 100 times the dose that they really need. They were
Hmm.
using an inferior form of lithium that you just dig out of the ground. A German doctor discovered if you bond the lithium with uric acid, a substance in milk, if you bond it with that, it will go straight to the brain.
Excuse
So you only need a healthy dose. So if you were to go online and look at the ingredient lithium, you'll see oh, it's terrible. You have to do blood tests to see, you can't do too much. Well, imagine how it's a salt. Imagine taking 500 times the dose of salt that your body needs. It would mess with your body. So there would be side effects. With this product, there's no side effects, only benefits. Anyway, so that's it.
That is so great. Well, I will definitely plug that in the show notes so everybody can check that out. I personally want to check it out myself.
Yeah.
because I think everybody could reduce their stress some.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's the best stress reducer I've seen. And it has a whole bunch of other ingredients that will also work synergistically with it that everybody knows works. Okay.
amazing. Well, John, this has been such an honor. I appreciate so much you coming back onto the show. I know that you share such a wealth of information. So I please encourage everybody to check out more in the show notes and grab his newest book. Do we have another book coming out soon?
No, this is the one. It's all in here. Uh, so I'm happy
Yeah, a
with that
lot
one.
of what we shared today is in his newest book, Beyond Mars and Venus. And then, as you mentioned, you have courses too. So I really encourage people to dig more into all the goodness you share. So thank you,
You
John.
mentioned our courses. I'll just quickly say our best
Yes, please.
course, most popular course is called Understanding Men. It's right at marsvenus.com in the courses section. It's our big one. It's for women only, but if you're in a relationship, I suggest your husband do it with you. But it's always talking to the woman. See,
I
men
think
don't.
that is so important because I mean that from your original book, I remember, oh my goodness, I don't even know what age I was when I read your first book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, but let's say it was in my early 20s when I was struggling in relationship. Actually, it was probably my late teens, but anyways, I just remember it's like so confusing men. Like
Yeah, we're
there's
so
so much to
confusing.
understand,
And,
right?
and you know what's great about it, if a man watches it, we're not telling him to change. We're helping the woman understand to change what she understands about men. And then men get a lot of compassion and understanding of what she's going through, trying to figure him out. It works so well. We tried doing a class just for men, but men don't take it. Men will take the course on sex. Okay. They like to learn extra tips on sex, but
Yeah.
not on trying to understand women. But women really help understanding men. They're always trying to figure it out. But if a man can take it with her, it's even more beneficial for both of them.
Absolutely. I think it goes hand in hand. Like we need to understand each other if we really want to thrive in a relationship. And I think all this information is just so helpful. So I thank you again for providing so much value today.
A real pleasure. Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Yeah.